Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Red Pill versus Blue Pill. I'm Dr. Delon Canterbury, CEO and founder of Geriatrics, as well as the Deprescribing Accelerator. So, hope you guys are doing well. Hope y'all doing great. I'm here with Kaya as we talk more today about leveraging deprescribing and diving into how I started feeling like Delon again when I started investing in myself, taking that leap, but really uh, serving in my purpose in alignment with helping our seniors get off of harmful medication. So welcome back to the second of our video series of the Red Pill versus Blue Pill. Really, in this space, I did not know how many seniors need the expertise of a pharmacist, and even better, a geriatric pharmacist who can really help fine tune some of the pain associated with some of these meds. And frankly, the people that benefit the most, apart from the patient, are their caregivers. I mean, we sorely neglect the impact that caregivers have, not only in care coordination, but the scheduling, the managing of their patients' well-being, maneuvering all types of stuff. And then it's like they're expected to be a clinician. Like they have to administer the drug, they have to set the appointments, they have to get power of attorney in some situations. I mean, there's a lot that is taxed on the caregiver. So I've learned how much pharmacists can be the caregiver's best friend in this journey in managing their loved one's care, and particularly in getting their meds basically as low as possible. So let's be real, guys. We came into this game as clinicians, as pharmacists, to serve and help people. And I think it's safe to say our health system doesn't always make that as easy to achieve as we would like. And I mentioned yesterday about some of my pain points in just getting started, trying to re-educate people about what the hell pharmacists even do. Even just putting myself out there, right? Going to nursing homes, going and just speaking everywhere I could at caregiver events. And the problem in pain is the same. It's no one is taking the time to truly look at all the meds and do an authentic, full review. And I don't mean just to go in and take everyone off of meds. I mean just to explain why their loved ones are on the meds to begin with, or if there's a capacity to educate. People don't always understand what these labs may mean or why I'm getting this. And of course, if you don't know what you're doing, if there's confusion, you're not going to take the medicine. And of course, you learned about my history with my grandmother and her being overmedicated and eventually deprescribed. But truly, when I go to these places, there is such a lack of patient safety advocacy as it pertains to safe and appropriate medication use. And some of these nursing homes, of course, they're doing what they can with their consultant pharmacists that they have on staff, right? But even then, they are still only seeing patients in nursing homes that are particularly in need of some type of care that's more than what will be covered when someone just has a caregiver around the house for a couple of hours a week, right? So even then, those consultant pharmacists are rock stars. They go in, they know the data, they know the regulatory stuff. So they're trying to do these compliance and audits for Medicare and making sure the facility doesn't get dinged. But there is still a gross number of community dwelling seniors that don't have anyone saying, hey, have you looked at your meds lately? Have you talked about getting off of some of this stuff with your provider? Have you met your local pharmacist and befriended them so that you can really, really get the best out of your quality of care? And the truth is they don't. And you know, our older population doesn't like to really rock the boat as much. They kind of suck it up buttercup and don't want to question what the doctor says. They come from an age where that was pretty normal, right? I mean, I get it. They don't want to rock the boat, but we got to get out of that old mindset. And rocking the boat is what leads to change. And that's what I thrive on doing. Hence why I've been able to leverage deprescribing as not just a way to build my brand, but to serve the way that we were intended to serve. So unfortunately, coming into this space, it ain't exactly cookie clear for pharmacists to start just billing stuff left and right and getting reimbursed. So I started with the cash payer model. And yeah, that also can be tough. Trying to educate patients on why you're paying for this when, you can go to a visit or a doctor's office and get the same thing, which we know is not true. But having experienced that, I had to get very comfortable teaching. I had to get very comfortable being confident in my experience that I've gained just from working in retail alone, because that was the majority of my career path, was being a pharmacy manager, and extrapolating from the wins I've had there to show that, wait, I have this on lock. I do this every day. We do this every day. We are saving lives every day, but we don't get paid for our value. We don't get paid. We get pats on the backs and maybe a pizza party, hashtag pizza's not working, thanks to Bled. So done are those days. Like, screw those days. We're not doing that anymore. If lawyers are able to get paid on retainer and paid for consultations that are going to keep you out of a bind, then I see it as, why not pharmacists to do the same thing? Why can't we do the same thing? And so I do that. That's what I do. So our seniors are still, and I mean, I literally just got off the phone today with a patient who was actually referred by another pharmacist. So thank you, Deanna Smith. I appreciate the love. And her uncle is in a nursing home. And he's on 18 medications. Guess how many meds he was on? Like, this is the deprescribed version. His 18 is a result of deprescribing. So, I thought I was like hitting the ballpark with 36. This man had 53 medications on his med list. I cannot make this up. 53, literally today, this patient's like, yo, he was on 53, and then we decided to get him down to 18. So he's having some issues, some mood changes, some irritability, and they're not sure what the cause is. So it's a new case. So I'm going to go dive in and see what the meds are doing. I haven't gotten the med list yet. However, I love that I can advocate on such a bigger scale now, because I don't believe in the status quo. I don't believe in just letting things happen, or it's always been done that way as clinical evidence or as the standard of care. Like, that's not why we got into this. So I'm excited to dive into that and see where that leads. But the truth is, we as pharmacists don't get paid for our value. Like, can you imagine if there was a reimbursement rate based on the commissions made from number of drug interactions we caught in a year? Like, can you imagine if you've done so much to reduce star ratings or reduce falls from your community pharmacy, and you had a way to quantify that led to more patients coming to you, or you being able to get reimbursed for doing that? So you now have the energy and feasibility to do it sustainably. There are care models that do that. Value-based care is the catch-all word for it, but there are people that already do that. The problem is we don't have that done everywhere, okay? But it is feasible. And that pain point is why I want to speak to you all today, because I started finally feeling like the pharmacist I was supposed to be once I started speaking the gospel of over-medicating in this country. And whether we talking opioids, whether it's dementia, whether it's diabetes drugs, whether it's us being so quick to throw on some type of sleep medicine. Like, we literally have studies that significantly prove reducing benzos can reduce falls, right? If we have a pilot program, mind you, this one was in Canada that did this, and they reimbursed the pharmacist $25 for every intervention, every talk about, hey, you can possibly get off these benzos. And then there was a collaborative practice approach with the provider locally. they were able to quantify that they did improve quality of life and they did reduce falls risks and they saved money for the patient. So what I'm saying isn't far-fetched. It's evidence-based. Mind you, maybe a smaller study, but we can put the money in the right place to make that happen. But needless to say, when I got into this game, it was more about figuring out how to, one, grow a business, how to, two, sell myself, sure. But I can easily say I was the happiest I've been in my life. The last 2 years have been the happiest I've been ever in my life. Like, you maybe see me traveling and doing all this other stuff, but serving patients the way I am authentically now gives me joy. And I didn't have this joy before. I wouldn't even be here talking to you live if I wasn't in this space of mind to communicate this. So I want that same joy for you. I want that same joy for everyone who's helping seniors or has a passion for helping seniors and wants to make this a new stream of not just revenue, but a new way of branding yourself, a new identity, a new definition to the secret power we have to deprescribe. And frankly, we want to get paid for it. Yeah, we want to eat. We're used to that paycheck. We get usually 6 figures, but we want to have a bigger purpose and alignment with that. And that to me was what was lacking and frankly still is lacking in our healthcare system. So how do you do this? What does this mean? What does it look like? Look, you're going to have to take that leap. It doesn't matter what type of deprescriber you want to be, or if you want to do your own thing with pharmacogenomics, really doesn't matter. But it still starts with a mindset shift. And it still starts with, are you in alignment with your greater purpose? Are you feeling that passion? Like, do you actually get the warm fuzzies when you talk to patients still? Because I tell you what, I was not getting the warm fuzzies for the last 4 or 5 years prior to me starting geriatrics. I hated my patients. Let me be real with you. I completely hated going to work. Definitely hated my patients. And mind you, most of them were actually pretty cool. But the minute something was wrong, I was like, oh God, what the heck now? Like I just defaulted to anger, like off the base. Like I just didn't even, it was gonna be some nonsense. And yeah, it wasn't a proud moment for me, but that was where my mental space was, feeling trapped by my job, feeling stuck, feeling like I couldn't really truly say what I wanted to say because that reimbursement rate for that prescription is going to worth the company more than that person's quality of life. And I couldn't do that anymore. So I don't want this to be the norm for us as pharmacists and clinicians in the geriatric space. You hear it time and time again. Nurses are tired of healthcare. Doctors are tired of healthcare. Pharmacists are tired of healthcare. We're having a whole movement right now in our own space. So we want to feel fulfilled. We want to provide value. We want to get paid adequately for that value, right? And you want to have a greater purpose that aligns with you, your principles, and for me, my community. Showing up and serving, showing up doing community service, showing up and volunteering, giving talks. So that's what we want. And we want financial freedom. Why not? Why not have both? This world is, we only got so much time on the planet. Why not have joy in what you're doing and then have joy outside of work? Do you really think I had a work-life balance prior to geriatrics? Like, I worked and hoped to have 1 day off a week, and then the next weekend I would have my weekend off because we had rotating schedules in retail. So I would have like a Thursday off, and then I would work, or I'd have Fridays off. Then I work the weekend, then work till the next Thursday, and then get off the weekend and then rinse and repeat for literally 4 or 5 years, and then ask permission from someone else to give me time off that I earned just so I can go have fun. I'm like, yeah, that's backwards, man. We got to live life now. So let's be real. Why are we still stuck in this rut? We haven't thought about breaking free from this patriarchal old way of thinking of how pharmacists should operate. We don't have a lack of guidance on how we as pharmacists can leverage our skill sets and become active prescribers. Frankly, we're not always integrated into advanced care models, interdisciplinary care models. And worse yet, there are even less and less that are actually geriatric focused, right? We have all types of credentials out there. And I don't think it's necessary for you to do the type of work we're doing with prescribing in seniors. I don't. I think it'll help, but I don't think you have to have all these credentials to suddenly give you the confidence to grow a business or build a brand. That's a whole different conversation. So don't get fooled into the whole credentialing game, although I do think they do provide some value. There also isn't a system in place to have people put this into these models and then have them sustainably billable under Center for Medicare Services. So that's, again, it's still a touch point that's still being teased out. Yes, I know we have collaborative practice agreements. We have incident to billing codes, CPT. Pharmacists can leverage and get into chronic care management, transitional care management, remote patient monitoring. These are all avenues you can explore on your own and still do what you want to do and establish yourself as a business. But we're not taught this in school. We're not taught this unless you have some coach or you do a lot of reading to find out all this information. And it takes years and years to really dissect and figure out how to build systems around that approach. So the thing you really need to start doing is, one, you got to change your mindset. We got to kind of erase all the stuff we thought we knew about building a brand and building a business or running a business. If you don't have any experience from what we thought we knew as clinicians in pharmacy school, we don't know this stuff. I am still figuring it out, like all of us. But what we got to start doing is changing our mindset of coming from a place of lack to a place of abundance. When you start realizing that the world is your oyster for real, and yes, you don't know what may happen next quarter, but when you start seeing things from the perspective of, I can get anything I want and still serve and do what I think is aligned with my purpose, there's no stopping you. And this is not woo-woo, rah-rah talk. Like, it took me a year and a half to really change my mindset around what I can possibly do. And the minute you start embracing that fear that will always be there, because it's there, even though I had the confidence here, hey man, there's some days I'm fearful, and it's normal to be human. It's normal to have fear. But the first step to getting into this space and start leveraging yourself as the expert on prescribing is to change your medication mindset and to change your beliefs around how you think you can approach this and how you can best serve people. So starting with that, own your expertise, own your doctorate, own the wealth of knowledge and experience you've gained from whether it be retail to hospital to industry to being an MSL, pediatrics, geriatrics, genomics. Own your gift, all right? I don't care if you're cards or what. Everyone has a power in this space. From functional medicine to integrative health coaches to nutrigenomics, they all have roles and they all are integral in the space of what prescribing can offer for your patients, and particularly here, your seniors, who are the most overmedicated population in the US, who, again, 750 people are sent to the ER each day because of medications. And I mean 750 seniors, not just people, actually seniors are sent because of medication-related side effects. Again, this is costing our health system money. So if you come in as the expert consulting with these senior care-facing groups like home health agencies, nursing homes, adult daycare centers, I'll be at one next week giving a talk on how to save money on finances at the pharmacy counter. My friends, that is how you grow your brand, and that is how you monetize prescribing. That's one way. So let's not get into our own heads and just give into that fear that's keeping us in this analysis paralysis, this state of inaction, because that's what I did for the first year and floundered. But I learned a lot. I learned how I needed to communicate this value. And then once you find your couple of patients, you get your groove going, you start seeing, yo, this is actually way easier than I thought. I'm kind of doing what I did before, but now it's on a bigger scale. Okay. So I say to own that gift. So you want to start monetizing this? You want to start making this an actual concrete, sustainable move for your business, for your growth, for yourself. You got to approach that mindset. That's number one. Number two, you got to preach the gospel. You got to talk about the problem. If you work in some of these assisted living facilities as a consultant pharmacist, I know for a fact you're probably seeing or managing from, I don't know, anywhere between 25 to 50 beds as one person. Okay. And there's hundreds of people in these huge, large type of senior living communities. Now, you're doing your thing to make sure everything's picture perfect on paper, looking for gradual dose reductions, trying to your best to help the patient, but you know damn well you don't have the time to individualize the type of care that you want to deliver. You don't. It's from retail to even being in those settings, it's really the same problem. Maybe a different environment, but it's the same problem. You got mad patients, very little time, very little reimbursement for what you're even doing. And you want to give the best and you want to give your all, but you just feel like I don't even have the time of day to do it. And that's a lot of us. That's the pain that I want to get to today and speak to that point right there can be fixed. There are other ways. There are other models. There are other approaches that are sustainable and monetizable. So we talked a lot today about mindset. We talked about taking that leap, addressing the fear head on, because this is not easy. I'm not going to lie. Getting people to see what this is and go against our literal healthcare system is going to take some courage. And I want people who are passionate and have courage. So today we talked about mindset. We talked about leveraging your gift. We talked about embracing fear, but do not let the fear control you. All right. So there'll be more. We have another one tomorrow. We will talk more about some 3 tips we'll give you to start deprescribing today. So we're going to give you some concrete, easy to follow stuff you can do now that you can start monetizing deprescribing and leveraging it. But I hope today was helpful. I wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is mindset, fear. But more importantly, the reward of how I started to feel like a pharmacist again. And I can tell you when that moment was. The moment that happened for me was after our first patient who was on 36 meds and we were able to deprescribe them down to 8. The ugly side to this story, which I sometimes say in more smaller circles, was that this person's family was actually intending on involuntarily committing her into a nursing home. All right. So this woman basically was 70-year-old, frail, probably maybe 100 pounds, Black woman, and was on, like I mentioned, 36 meds. What we found with her case was that she was suffering from anticholinergic toxicity. So she had multiple drugs that were contributing to that. And unfortunately, she was also wealthy, but her family, for the majority, were looking to force her into the nursing home so that they can seize her assets, her wealth, her home. So yes, there's a dark side to this. Fortunately, if it wasn't for the testimony we gave with geriatrics as proof to a jury of her peers that, hey, here's what we did, here's our med review, here's how we're going to start deprescribing, here's why we think these meds are contributing to her dementia-like symptoms. We became the family's medical expert in court, right? I didn't see that coming. Trust me, I didn't think I'd be in the law game. I was super nervous. In fact, to be real with you, I actually almost said no, get a lawyer. I don't want to do that, or get someone else. I almost said no because guess what? I was fearful. I was fearful. I didn't want to be on a stand, cross-examined and have my character questioned or something, but I was fearful about being a medical expert as a pharmacist. I didn't even know that existed, but lo and behold, I did. So I gave my testimony, I gave my med review, I told them about the interactions that I found and how this is masking her symptoms. The moment I felt like a pharmacist was when I got the call a couple hours later from the caregiver saying that the court case was completely dropped. Completely dropped. And then my heart kind of just sank with joy and almost tears. I didn't fully cry, but I did get a little watery-eyed. You know, I'm a guy, you know, I wasn't really emotionally there, but I definitely was happy as hell. And to hear that proved my purpose. It solidified why I left retail to start leveraging deep prescribing and make this my calling. So just want to share that moment with you. That was when I started that. And that was, I would say, 4 or 5 months of me basically launching Geriatrics full-fledged in 2020. So that was a huge win. It still is a huge win. And to this day, she is doing perfectly fine. For those who may not know, being forced into a nursing home in a memory care assisted facility, yeah, we're talking 10,000 to 17,000, sometimes seven. You know, it's a lot of money per month. It's definitely more than what it is to pay rent or mortgage. So it's a lot of money. And to this day, I can confidently say we've saved this family close to $250,000 just from one deprescribing review. So I know we all have that power. Hope today was helpful for you. But tune in for tomorrow. We'll have more, and we'll share some tips and tactics that will help you start deprescribing now and making some paper that's worth your value while serving our seniors. So you guys take care. Thanks for tuning in to the Red Pill versus Blue Pill. Let me know what you feel below. If you have any comments that resonate with you, I'd love to hear it. But stay tuned. We'll see you next time, okay? Later, guys.